Today we're going to work on our connective breath. So why is connective breath important? Well, a lot of the time we're walking around in life, working out, in our everyday life, everything else outside of working out, but just breathing. We're not paying attention to our breath. Our breath varies depending on what we do, whether we're stressed, fully relaxed, we're trying to relax when we're stressed, we're trying to just cope with what we have, and lots of the time we're not doing it right, and it's actually making things worse. What do I mean by that? Well, as a woman, it is easy to breathe just up in the chest. If we're in a public setting and we're wearing nice clothes and we're trying to look presentable, we're sucking in our stomach and getting nice and tall, or maybe we're sucking in our stomach and slouching a little bit. Maybe it's just focusing on the sucking in. But what we don't know, we're flaring our rib cage, we're arching our back way too much, and we have a corset on internally. The corset, the tightness in here is putting pressure on our pelvic floor. No oxygen is getting down there, and it's just up in the chest. When we just do it up in the chest, we need to breathe nice and deep, but the air is kind of trapped. So where do we go? We use our shoulders to kind of help expand more into our chest and a little bit of our rib cage. But it is actually stressing out our shoulders way too much because a lot of our stress is stored up here. That, unfortunately, will put a lot of pressure on our pelvic floor. Have you ever felt or heard someone talk about, I just peed a little bit because I was just jumping around, or my pelvic floor is extremely tight. I'm in constant pain and I don't even know why. We have a scale. We have a weak pelvic floor and a strong pelvic floor. We want to ultimately find the medium because the pelvic floor, the strong one, is too strong, too much of a powerhouse, too weak. So we need to work on strengthening it in the right in the middle. So by breathing the right way, allowing oxygen to flow and muscles to expand and engage, that's the ultimate goal that we want to get, so we can relax and contract. By making sure that we're not just breathing up in the chest right up here, we want to reposition our body, our posture, to allow airflow to flow in the right way. And it's going to be much easier to breathe nice and deep if we align ourselves differently. So how do we do that? We're going to start off by sitting down on a comfortable chair. It can also be a bench too. My legs are going to be open just a little bit so I can allow my pelvis to just kind of relax and open up. Now I want to put my hands under my tailbone. I feel my sits bones, the pointy part of my butt, straight down. And I want the top of my pelvis to sit back a little bit to stack. But I want to have a little bit of a sway. Everyone's bodies are different, and we're naturally as humans to have a little bit of a sway in our back. And if you can imagine your body is the skeleton that you are, but just the skeleton, you're trying to stack your skeleton straight down on top of your pelvis. So we want to keep our rib cage down, our chest down, but nice and open. So rolling our shoulders back, so like rotating them out, giving a light pinch in the back, just a light pinch. And then we're getting nice and tall, kind of tucking our chin neutrally in, not craning it out or squeezing it back, nice and neutral. And imagine a string attached to your head, pulling your spine up nice and tall. This is the position you want to be in. You're nice and elongated, but you're not straining anything. Everything is relaxed and comfortable. This is where you want to be doing when you're standing for long periods of time or in public settings. You don't have to suck in your stomach. This positioning, this posture, will make you look just like you would if you were sucking in. This is way less strain on your back, your stomach, everything in your body. Making sure when you're standing, your knees are not locked. They're softly bent. So if you can try to remember that, soft bend, and having your feet right underneath you, and you're not swaying on one side to the other with your hips. You want to be nice and tall. So the more you're more in tune, the more aware you are, the more you'll notice and catch yourself as you do that. But I digress. Going back to our seated position, we have the right posture now. From here is either two things. Imagine your stomach as a nice big balloon, and you're filling your balloon up with water. All directions, side to side, forward and back, up and down. Now, another thing to think about, which I really like, is that I am a vase. And I have these nice, beautiful flowers I want to put in the vase. But I have to fill it up with water first. So I take my vase, start filling it up from the top down. So once the water pours into the vase, it comes from the top, drops down to the base, and slowly starts to fill down to up. Now the water's up here. Our breath is going to act the same way. So we're inhaling from the top, always through our nose. And we're filling up our vase down below, not up in our chest yet because we drop straight down. We're breathing deep down into the pelvic floor. We're opening up our rib cage side to side, and we're opening up our stomach and pressing into our back. Then eventually the leftover air is going to come up into the chest, but we're trying not to hike up our shoulders. Now, when it comes to the hands, I want your hands to be either on your rib cage and under your belly button. Why on the rib cage? A lot of the time we breathe more on one side of the ribs than the other. The one other side might be a little bit sticky and it's not fully contracting because we're used to just breathing up in here. So we want to practice on our ribs as an accordion. Our rib cage is opening up and closing. So you want to put your hands on wherever you feel like you need it the most, or maybe it's in the middle. And then your hands down below, the other hand down below, so you can tell your body to breathe down deep into where the hand is. If you're having a hard time with engaging into a certain area, by having physical something touching you down there, your hand, that will give you an easier way to have your mind-body connection. So that's a great way to train your body to breathe in those areas. Now that we have our hands here, we know how to breathe. We're gonna go ahead and take 5 big deep breaths, just as it is with our positioning. So we're inhaling through the nose, breathing down into our stomach, filling up our vase or our balloon. The rest of it goes up to the chest while keeping the shoulders relaxed, and exhaling it out. Meanwhile, you're fully relaxed. Notice where the stress is coming from. If you are holding stress in your hips, your back, your jaws, by having your posture the way it is, you're allowing to go deeper into your breath. You're getting nice and tall for more room. If you're hunched or if you're leaning to one side, you can't have all that space. You're restricting certain areas to breathe. So when we're all stacked and tall, we have a bigger range. Now that we've practiced that, we're going to do a little more engagement in the pelvic floor to help kind of cinch everything together and push all that air up and out. So relaxing, pelvic floor relaxing, everything's loosening, and we're expanding our vase or our balloon. And then we're going to go ahead and lift our pelvic floor up to our nose as we push the air up and out. So a way to think about lifting our pelvic floor, if it's a bit difficult, you're reaching down to a tissue. You're relaxing, inhaling, so that's picking up a tissue with your hand, and then you're exhaling, lifting your pelvic floor up by lifting that tissue with your vagina and your anus. So it's like a Kegel. You're squeezing, like holding your pee in, and then lifting. So lift up to your nose or up to your belly button, filling up, relaxing, and we're exhaling and pushing the air up and out. Another way, if you do not have a vagina, this is easier to think about. Your hips have a diamond, a nice big diamond right at the center. All the corners of the diamond are attached to your pelvis, and you are relaxing as you're filling up. And then you're going to exhale and lift your pelvic floor and lift your diamond, all corners of the diamond, as you exhale and lift. Relax, drop that diamond down as you inhale. Grab all the corners and lift. So whatever those two help, think of that while you breathe. You're not rushing through this breath work at all. You're taking your time. 1 to 2 rounds of this with about 8 to 10 breaths per set. You can start by just breathing and relaxing and learning how to just, not much engagement, but just learning the concept of just breathing deep. And then once you get it, you can start engaging your pelvic floor a bit more. Now, if this is difficult sitting, you need to take it a little bit of a notch down. You're not going to be able to really connect well. You can lay down, laying flat on the back with a pillow behind your neck to support you, knees bent, feet on the floor. You don't want your legs fully flat, because that's going to lift up your hips and your low back, and it's going to cause a little bit more tension. It's going to be harder to breathe down deep when you have that big arch. Just like if I was sitting here like this, you don't want that. Will help if you bend your knees. And then, of course, ultimately we want to get to a standing position where we can engage and use this with our strength training, or just trying to relax when we're standing in a grocery line, walking around, running around stressed. So you can do this not just before your workout, but right when you wake up, right when you go to bed, in the middle of your day, when you're going through some stressful things, driving, but just make sure that you open your eyes when you do this. Don't close them. But why do I like to have this at the beginning of the workout? Well, you're literally taking all the stress that you have, you're leading up to your workout, and then you're just dropping the stress off right at the door. Right before you start for anything, we're relaxing, letting things go, and warming up for what's next to come. All right, Good luck.